Good evening, everyone. The highlights of the news.
Thanks for joining me for part 2 of Nightmare Pressings. Part 1 is the video where I show you a handful of the pressings that I have that I think are frankly complete garbage, including one controversial record that was just released in 2023. And in that video, I also have a surprise ending, so probably don't want to miss that one. So now let me go over my 10 reasons why I think this negatively impacts the vinyl community. Some of these are going to overlap, some of them are obvious, but I think it's a semi-holistic view into poor pressings and why it matters to take pride in the records that you're creating. Okay, number 1. Obviously, reduced sound quality. Poorly made records are going to sound distorted, scratchy, noisy, and this undermines the very reason why people prefer vinyl over digital formats. We already have an uphill battle as lovers of vinyl. Digital technology has become so good that it's challenging to keep making the argument that vinyl just sounds better. And I think most people are realistic that either say, well, we're to a point now where we're way better than what CDs were, 30 years ago with digital formats, but there's a lot to love about vinyl, right? And it has more to do than just digital versus analog. I think we love vinyl. Certainly I love vinyl because its analog qualities bring life to our music, but that doesn't make it quaint or charming when a record has excessive distortion, surface defects, or other problems just due to careless pressing. Okay, number 2, damaged equipment. Bad vinyl pressings can damage turntables and other audio equipment, which can be costly to repair or replace. So, this is debatable, right? Considering how careful audiophiles are with their stylus, keeping it clean, replacing it every X number of hours of playtime, that's a pretty good indicator that the quality of the media actually matters. I think given the choice, most of us would rather play a clean, well-pressed record over a damaged one. Not to mention the damage to your most important piece of equipment, your ears. All right, number 3, negative reputation. Labels at pressing plants that consistently release poorly made records are damaging their reputation, leading to a loss of customers and just frustration. And so, it happens, right? But some more than others. Some have a real reputation for putting out a poor quality product. According to 2 separate sources, an Acoustic Sounds news article and Michael Fremer of Analog Planet, whose stories I will link in the description below, some of these labels produce unauthorized pressings, which is a whole nother rant. They're generally cheaply made with the reputation for poor quality control. Michael Fremer says that we should avoid Doxy, not Sonny Rollins' label. Apparently there's another one using that same name. ZYX from Germany, Vinyl Lovers, Simply Vinyl, and Abraxas. A lot of sources would add to that DOL or DOL, Jazz Wax, and Wax Time. These are some of the labels that do not have a great reputation and are honestly best avoided. Okay, number 4. So it's discouraging to newcomers. And let's be honest, the vinyl community benefits from having more people enjoying vinyl. When newcomers, and anybody for that matter, can listen to a high resolution digital song on Apple Music or Spotify, why should they spend likely hundreds of dollars for a newcomer on a turntable, speakers, receiver, preamp, or whatever setup you want, just to hear garbage? And I have to imagine that it would turn a lot of people away if we're sitting here making a case that vinyl sounds better or vinyl's warmer. I appreciate music more when I listen on vinyl. I listen more intentionally when I listen to vinyl, or whatever argument you want to make, and someone goes out and spends good money on their system and then drops goes to a record store, grabs some of these cheaper records just to see what they sound like, throw them on their turntable, and they get garbage. I would imagine they're going to think that was a waste of time and money. Number 5 on the list is disillusionment of collectors and enthusiasts. I would qualify myself as a collector and enthusiast. You are probably an enthusiast. Getting stuck with these poor pressings or having to weed through thousands of bad pressings just to find that diamond in the rough is extremely disappointing and frustrating. Oftentimes you have to spend more money for another pressing, either getting stuck with the bad record or pawning it off on someone else, which is just as bad. Honestly, the best thing you can do is deposit them in the closest landfill or receptacle, or just be buried with them, because someone else is going to get stuck with that stuff. Number 6, limited availability. Poor quality control can lead to limited availability of certain pressings, which can be frustrating for collectors and enthusiasts. Yes, you're on Discogs searching for a record, and the only ones available at a reasonable price are these crappy reissues Which brings me to number 7, higher prices. If the demand for a particular pressing exceeds the supply due to poor quality control, in other words, there's enough records out there to make everyone happy, but 70% of them sound terrible, it jacks up the price on the other 30%, making those records less accessible to those that don't want to shell out a ton of money for a record. The limited quality pressings are scarce and expensive, and if these companies would pay better attention to quality, there would be enough good pressings to keep prices down and to make everyone happy. Number 8, lost revenue. If people are dissatisfied with the quality of vinyl pressings, they'll be less likely to purchase vinyl in the future, obviously, and especially I think to newcomers. So it becomes a missed opportunity. Yes, it's a cash grab in the short term, but you're turning people away from the hobby instead of bringing more in. And we all know this isn't good. I know there's different schools of thought on this, right? Some people are going to say, I want less people in the vinyl community because that's less competition. Well, I don't look at it as a competition thing. I look at it as the vinyl community today in 2023 is thriving because of new people coming into the community. It's why we get these great pressings. It's why Tone Poet can make these great records. It's why Acoustic Sounds can offer great records. It's a thriving community is really a benefit for everyone. Number 9, reduce cultural significance. Vinyl has cultural significance as a physical medium for music. And poorly made vinyl pressings can undermine that significance and the cultural value of vinyl as a whole. Yes, it's hard to make an argument for vinyl over other musical media when the pressing sounds so terrible. Last but certainly not least, number 10 is that it's disrespectful to the artists that created the music. The artists that work so hard on their craft to produce the music for these records, it's a disservice to them if the music is reproduced poorly by record labels just trying to make a quick buck or exploit the record buying public. And going back to the whole snowflake pressing thing is what complicates things even more is that not 100% of the vinyl produced by even the aforementioned labels is terrible. Some records are better than others. I have records by at least one record. I think it's a Wax Time record. That is the best affordable pressing of that record, and it sounds good. What's more, one pressing can yield a wide variety of quality. Case in point. As I said, I recently did a video telling you how nice this 2023 release of The Awakening is, and yet so many people are disappointed by this record. All right, so what can we do about it? I mean, I think we're doing the best we can in some ways. I mean, leave reviews on Discogs, Amazon, or wherever you buy your records. Not just negative reviews, but positive ones as well. Spread the word about these pressings, good or bad. And also speak with your wallet. Don't give in to FOMO. Don't accept something you're not happy with, or these labels will have no reason to improve. We have to do better by speaking with our Benjamins when we can. It's not always easy to know which pressings are good and which ones suck. Obviously, the first people into those records are the ones that are going to get stuck with them. If we wait and we're patient, we can sort of see what the reviews are and then make our choices that way. Not always feasible, I know. Someone has to be the first one to jump in and see what a record sounds like. So as a little bit of a counterpoint, the way I listen to records, I am way more critical the first time I listen to a record. I'll be the first one to admit that I will hear things upon a first listen that I don't even notice later. Mostly small things. Obviously, glaring issues are always going to be annoying, but I just want to offer that I will be much more critical the first time I listen to a record. That's what I'm listening for, every snap, crackle, and pop. Oh, there's a pop! Track 2, side 2, pop! So we also have to be realistic, right? I mean, a whole nother video would be just the characteristics of vinyl and just why it is so challenging to produce a record that sounds like some of your favorite, highest quality albums. So that's on the consumer side, but what about the companies that are producing these records that either struggle with or ignore quality control and potentially ignore the source where they're getting this music and then pressing it onto a record? And a lot of people would argue, if you have the ability to obtain a quality source, why aren't you? And the counter to that is there's not always a quality source available. I sometimes wonder why they don't just use a pristine vinyl record as a source. Can't we create a mold from that or 3D print one? I don't know, that's probably not how it works, but I mean, just record the album from a mint copy of an original Ahmad Jamal Awakening and use that. It has to sound better than a deteriorated tape or digital source. I don't know, maybe that's crazy talk. Now that, you know what? Now that I hear myself saying it, it sounds like crazy talk. So here's my open letter to record labels. If you have a reputation of quality control issues, you are exploiting your customers and the artists whose records you are reproducing for a quick buck. Consider the fact that your records are going to change hands over the years. Each of these people will be disappointed by your careless work. Is that really what you want your legacy to be? A cash grab for you is a disservice to everyone else. If you can't produce quality products, then don't produce anything at all. Because at the end of the day, someone is getting stuck with your junk. Whew. It got serious for a second. I had to shake it off. All right, so what do you think? Did I miss a critical point? Is there something more we can do as consumers? Am I off base about something? Am I off base about everything? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, snowflake pressing. It's a thing.